All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to CR Game Room. I'm Chris. There's
Wait,
Rob.
I thought I was Chris.
Mm, that's
Hmm.
where I know I can understand where you get confused, but no.
Yep, it's the hat.
Yeah.
Wore a different hat today.
And then that's Ben.
Ben in his hair.
and then that's Joe. You said you weren't going to say anything.
I didn't. Yeah.
To be fair, he didn't promise. So say hi, everybody. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, so today we're going to be going over a few things. We actually are structured. We're getting into structure now, guys. Everybody.
What is that?
I don't know. People just think we need to do things in order. It's crazy.
That's what happens when you get me on the show. I structure everything and be really
Don't
sensible.
put your hair like that. Don't put it like that.
It's worse.
Structuring everything except for his hair.
Oh my god. So today we're going to talk about top 8 draft. We're going to talk about the 2-team takedown format a little bit. Actually, probably a decent amount. And we're also going to cover the top 3 common meta cards in our opinions for each person. So I guess here we go. Let's talk top 8 draft and how it went. Ben,
Yes.
since you
Yeah.
were the big one in it.
I lost to Weenie Rush. James team up, stupid. Everyone's 2 costs and has a different affiliation, and then team up
That sounds awesome.
kills you. It was pretty good. I was very, very grumpy, and I woke up early to play James because he beat me, and I was very annoyed and really, really salty about not being able to roll sidekicks.
Sounds like
Yeah.
you're not salty at all.
I rolled a bunch of sidekicks and rolled them 4 sidekicks all the time, and then couldn't roll any sidekicks. The one game I rolled sidekicks, I won, which was not what would happen in. I don't know. He would have beaten me anyway, I think, but you know,
Yeah.
you have to wall up, and you couldn't wall up. He drafted really well, so
Yeah.
there you go.
All
Good
right.
job.
And then the other matchups, we had Steven at DM Armada. He
Yeah,
played
so-
Laurier and that.
So in the draft, I kind of did a faux pas because I looked at everyone's cards, which obviously didn't help me because I did really bad. But Steven had a super tanked starting hand. He had the cheater that gets buffed with non-villains, which is really good. Or non-villains. He had the Hawk with the KO ability, which does damage every time Dove is KO'd.
Mm-hmm.
He also had Truce, which triggers the Hawk. So I was like, wow, he's definitely going to draft that.
Yeah.
But he also had the uncommon Batwoman, which is unblockable.
Yes.
And he did the right thing because he drafted that. I think he handed the Hawk to Laurier, actually, who he beat. So he obviously made the right decision.
Yeah.
Because unblockable, she's got really good stats. I've messed around with her a little bit. But she is unblockable if attacking with a villain, or on her flip side, they have to pay 1 energy to block her. So you kind of just flip them however you want. And then that's tough, 5 damage each turn. And I think he just got them through a bunch of times. So
Super spammy, as you might say.
no, I like that. That's not spammy.
Mm.
That's playing properly, not like James.
And then in the next matchup, it was Shadow Meld, Patrick Barley versus Jazz.
Yeah, Jazz had 6 Parademons, 6
Whoa.
Parademon dice to swarm with. And the only other, so it's 4 Parademons in the whole draft. Jazz got 3 of the cards because we were doing a double draft, and Shadow, I think, got 1 of them. And the one he got was the one that deals damage every time someone draws an extra dice.
Oh.
So that screwed Jazz, right? Because if he draws an extra dice with all his 6 swarmers, he's taking a damage each time because Shadow's Parademon beat Jazz's Parademon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. It's pretty nutty. And
yeah.
And then yeah, that Parademon, it seems so good, but then you like get caught up in it, and you don't get the swarm out in time, or the other person just can go faster.
It's expensive, right?
Yeah. A
So
forecast.
they can set up, and I think that's kind of what happened. Shadow kind of just set up his Parademon, which stopped Jazz's Parademon, and that's the best ramp they have, and it's really important to kind of ramp through quick in drafts.
Yeah. And then Jared Gaskin beat Peter.
Jared.
Yeah, a little bit of an upset, I think, probably because Peter topped the
EU
Euro,
pool. Yeah.
EU pool, and Jared, I don't think was he bottom of his pool.
He was third in his pool.
Or
Yeah.
third in his pool, bottom to qualify.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jared just had that big cheat I was talking about earlier, which was in J. Stevens' first pack.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Dimension Door as well.
Super good.
And yeah, Peter had Res and Misdirection, so kind of gave Jared the tools to get to Cheetah faster, I think. I'm not sure what happened exactly.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I see Jared winning. But yeah, top 4, so exciting.
Yeah, James versus Steven? That's
James vs. Stevens, good match.
And then Shadow versus Jared. I mean, I don't want to be biased or anything, but I've known Jared for quite a while, and he's a good dude, and I think everyone's good.
Everyone wants Shadow to lose, let's be honest. Come on. No one wants Shadow to go through. Ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Also,
Patrick's
yeah,
in the chat, by the way.
What's up?
Patrick's in the chat, by the way.
Okay, the biggest problem with Patrick winning is I passed him all his cards. He was after me in the draft.
So it's like you won.
No, it's not. It's like I lost because I gave him all the good cards. I lost, and then he like took all the good cards I should have taken.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying that if Patrick wins, you win by default.
No, I'm saying I even extra lost.
You extra lost.
So he definitely can't win. He has that rare Harley Quinn though, which is super cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I like the James versus Steven matchup. I think that'll be pretty interesting. James has like the big Wally kind of get everyone cheap out really fast, and then team up everyone. Whereas Steven has this one character going through unblockable.
Sometimes it's all you need, though.
Yeah, so it's a good matchup, right? What's going to win, the wall or the fast attacking dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I had that unblockable, the super rare Joker, I was just flipping his defense and I was just using him.
You're being a jerk.
That's all I need. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's possible. I think that's why that Ant-Man from the new stuff is so interesting to me, because that 5 attack, like you don't need to get that many through to win.
Yeah.
And Batwoman has the same thing because she's 5 attack as well. So
I like her.
Yeah.
I was putting her through with the Joker also. So like Joker.
Oh, yeah, they can both attack.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was a good weekend. I think I won that weekend. I haven't won since, I think. So
you lost the other weekend when we all played.
You mean all the weekends after that?
All
yeah.
the weekends after.
Well, the last weekend that we've all played.
Oh, this past weekend? Yeah. Oh, I came in second.
I got stomped.
I used the staff and Mr. Fix-It and Daisy. It was glorious. Try to make it a little golden agey. Worked out.
I tried to, but I didn't make it golden agey enough. I pretty much got stomped, so by everyone, including the buy.
He lost to the buy.
Yeah,
that was weird. So when is the top 4 happening?
Whenever they have time to play it. I believe Shadow and Jared are playing tonight, actually. So as soon as they can play, that's going to determine who's playing the winner out of James and Steven.
Coming up after the stream.
Nice.
I don't know. Hopefully not during the stream.
Yeah, hopefully.
I would like to watch that.
Yeah, I would too. Man. All right. Sorry, I'm almost done, gentlemen.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna go on to top 4, exciting stuff. Now next segment.
Nice
that was
segue.
a good segue. Yeah, good segue.
Transition.
We're gonna explain. So, 2-team takedown. That's what we're talking
was
about.
that in the background?
I don't know.
We're gonna explain that to someone yelling. It's very exciting. 2-team takedown, top 4 of the current tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good things.
So, with the 2-team takedown, I feel like we've tried to get it out as much as we can, but there's been some people that have wanted us to explain it a little bit more, and we have no problem doing that. So, 2-team takedown, you bring 20 cards, so 2 teams. They all have to be unique cards. That's really the stipulation on it. So they can't match each other, and that's
to be specific, that they can't match
rarity
and title. So
Yeah.
they can't be. You can't have 2 Shriek Sonic Beams. I think that's a big one, right? On
Yeah.
both teams, you can have a Shriek Sonic Beam on one team and a Shriek one
Dark
of the
Empathy.
other names.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dark Empathy. Yeah.
Dark Empathy on the other team, right? So you can have 2 Shrieks, you just can't have them have the same subtitles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would cover like the OP card that you got from
Doing
WK
things.
or something like that. Yeah. From actually going
Yeah.
out and doing
Yeah.
Going out in the sunlight. Who does
Yeah.
that? I know I don't.
Daywalkers.
So yeah, you could run like the common. Something else is good, and
You
the
could buy-
rare something else is good.
Super
PXG.
Varianti.
You can run PXG on both teams. It's possible.
Exactly.
Yeah, in fact, I think it's going to happen.
Maybe.
And then the another good one was the Super Yanti and the Common Yanti. You can have both of them on the teams.
Yeah.
So really, that's the only stipulation. And the cards that are banned by WizKids are banned in any of our tournaments for the
Yes.
format.
Those are the basic actions, Relentless and
Swords of Revealing Light.
Yeah,
Swords
so
of
in-
Revealing.
So in general, the cards that are banned by WizKids in the format we're running are banned. In the format we're gonna be by WizKids.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a Golden Age 2-team takedown, the one that's coming up. So only the cards that are banned by WizKids for Golden play are banned.
Mhm.
So that misses out stuff like Bard and Yanti. Oh no, Yanti's not banned. Cosmic Cube Rare.
You're saying what you want to be banned.
Yeah.
Wishful
So-
thinking.
Bard and Cosmic Cube are both perfectly legal.
Legit, so to speak.
Yeah, although we will deduct points
Cool.
for anyone running those 2 things.
Oh my god, Ben will deduct points from coolness.
Yeah,
Points
Ben's
for, like,
points
literally
for
nothing.
whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
Points don't really matter.
Oh my god.
Points being
Only
prizes,
wins and
man.
losses. Yep.
And we've been talking about how long it's going to last each match. I think we settled on an hour and 15 minutes. That's for 3 games, switching and playing 3 games.
Yep.
And you have to win with both teams to actually finish the match.
Oh yeah, so you should explain how the actual format. So how this format is different is you have 2 different teams, right? If you win with one team, you are not allowed to use that team in the next match. Your opponent can choose either of their 2 teams, okay? If it goes 1-1, then in the 3rd match, you both choose whichever team you want.
No, you both have to play with the one that you haven't won with.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I've
You
seen
have to get a win with each team. Where are the rules at, Chris? Where did that list go?
I was really stupid. Sorry.
It's
I was
all
doing
good.
so good. I did like
You were doing
professional
really
juniors.
good.
Dude, I was
There's
right
a-
there with you.
There's a link to TDC that has
Yeah, we're gonna
all of our
have-
stuff on it.
We're gonna have the rule page up,
And DM North
and
has it too.
edited nicely.
Yeah. We're going to try to do it all
Too.
pretty like.
Oh, pretty. Get as much
Yes.
information out there so you can go anywhere and get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are you going to say, Ben?
The thing about draws.
Oh. So
I
draws
hate
are
ties.
yeah, it's going to be called the Robert rule because anytime
ties.
anyone talks about how we handle ties, no ties, no ties.
Yep. It's like that guy on Mortal Kombat 2 where he says "Toasty." It's gonna be Robert. No ties like that.
So
it's just you.
I think it's a good time. So it's a good time to roll this out. Because in a modern tournament, I think an hour and 15 minutes is plenty of time to finish 3 matches.
Especially in this format.
Yeah. Modern, golden, everything allowed. Like you should be able to finish 3 games in an hour 15.
Might even be able to finish it in 45 minutes.
Yeah. So we're saying that if it's 1-1 on time, you play 5 rounds with 6-0 round at the end, and then whoever has the most life wins that match. So there will officially be no ties.
And if someone has a 1-0 lead, and time runs out, they just win.
Yep.
So that's really how it's gonna go. We're gonna get rid of ties altogether. And if life is tied after that, that's gonna be.
WizKids has an official rules explanation. It's whoever does the next point of damage.
Oh, okay. So sudden death. Okay, so we'll go sudden death after that.
Yep.
That's gonna be nutty. Okay, so I think that covers the tie rule.
Also, quickly, if it's a tie at time, so if it's 1-1 at time, you will play a game of 3 rounds each. So, like you do time, just you do regular 3 turns each. Whoever does the most damage in those wins.
Okay, so if it's 1-1 and the game just ended,
on time, like so, it's an hour and 15 minutes. They just win, just on an hour and 15 or an hour and 14 or whatever.
And you just play one more game, and whoever
play one more game, but it's 3 rounds each. So whoever starts turn 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Man, it's gonna be a lot of sidekick hate there.
It happens in
tournaments.
It happens in tournaments, so it's the same tournament rules.
Okay.
Well, the point is try not to forcefully stall because we now have rules for that.
Yes.
There's an official rule that says don't slow play me, bro.
Oh,
so that rule is in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it'll be possible to slow play people in this tournament.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fast. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I was kind of against reducing the time from what was it, 125 or an hour and a half.
It was 25 minutes per game, and it just however long it took you to switch, you switched.
Yeah,
so we've actually
it just
makes
makes sense.
Well,
we haven't. We've kept it exactly the same.
Yeah, it's just we don't give any time for changing. So
that's fine. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, considering if you look at some of the recorded matches from the Golden Age events in the past from Nationals and Worlds, average match time took anywhere from 15 to 23 minutes, the quickest match being 7.5.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so that was why I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. It's going to go fast.
Yeah.
With everything
that's not to say
there, it's going to go fast.
That's not to say we're not friendly for people who aren't as experienced. We're saying everything's going to go fast, but if you don't know how to win in turn 3, you shouldn't be discouraged from participating in the tournament. You will have opportunities to play full games. It's just in general, Golden was a lot faster than the current Golden Modern is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now we're throwing
what we would recommend, kind of as a primer, what we would recommend is test out your teams, test out your turns, what you want to purchase on turns 1 through 3. Those are the most important, crucial turns. And also test out any given scenarios that you might run across. If you roll if you have a bad roll per se on it, you need to know what to do with that so that you don't trip over yourself and prolong the round even more so.
Yeah.
So how is the tournament going to be set up? We're going to do around the Swiss, depending on how many people participate.
It largely depends on how many people participate.
But we're looking at doing a round of Swiss rounds and then Top Cut, right?
Yes, Swiss rounds and Top Cut. The last 2T tournament we had was enough for, how many was it, Chris? Was it 4 or 5 rounds of Swiss?
It was 5.
It was 5.
It might have been too many, honestly. I think 4 is probably better. So I'm thinking
if we do this one, it'll be 4 unless more people come in. You know, if there's 20 or more, then we're gonna have to do 5. But if there's less than 20, we're gonna do 4 rounds of Swiss with a cut to top.
I think in general 5 is okay. but yeah,
I do too.
it would depend on how many.
We had 20 something in the last one.
28.
No, we didn't have 20. It was like 26. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it was up there.
It was pretty nutty, but I think because it wound up to the last 2 rounds just people that made the cut playing each other.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's important for like positional stuff.
So I guess 5 rounds is not terrible. It's just
I like 5 rounds.
Yeah,
I do too. It just extends it a week.
Let's make it 20 rounds.
Yeah. Everyone plays everyone, and then whoever's at the top of the table wins.
And
screw this top cut.
It just really depends on how many entrants we have.
Yeah, and eventually we want to try to get it to a point where we have kind of like a top seeding system to where we could just do double elimination tournaments possibly, but that's going to be probably way down the road, so no one has to worry about that right now.
I know I'm top seed, so.
Oh, shut your mouth! You still have not gotten me your team that you won. That you won the.
That's because it wasn't an official CR Game Room tournament, so I'm not allowed in the championship.
Complain that you didn't get it in there. Like, no, it's not. It's not CR Game
Champions.
We're British. You have to complain about everything.
Oh my gosh!
So somebody in the chat is saying, is giving us the breakdown of numbers, and he's our local TO or my local TO. Over there at Doc's Comics, so I trust what his words are. He's saying that it's 17 to 32 players, it's 5 rounds of Swiss, 6 to 8 is 3 rounds, and 9 to 16 is 4 rounds.
I suspect we're gonna have 5 rounds because we're gonna have enough people.
Yeah, I think so.
Right now, there's only 2 people that have entered, right, Joe?
Correct. I've only gotten 2 lists. Now, that's not to say that I won't be getting more within the coming week. It's just those are the people who are the most confident in their builds at the time, or just don't want to mess around.
Yeah,
they want to go with something that they know.
Yeah.
So official submission is 30th, right?
Yes, the midnight of the 30th, as in the
0. PM.
It's
CST.
CST.
Yeah. CST, yes, CST.
It almost sounds like you're about to say CSI. Dice Master CSI.
1 letter off.
So I'd recommend everybody gets tests their team.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
I recommend everybody test their teams within the coming week, and I'm okay with last minute submissions because that just means you guys did your best to test out everything. Or if you're like us, you just waited till the last minute, said "oh crap," and then wrote some names down.
Science Fair Project Robert over there.
Not me.
But hopefully we'll get some new people, and I know a lot of the kind of regulars already like playtesting and choosing stuff because I played against a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, Ben, thank you for bringing that up. So for the newer players, I've seen a lot of them going on in the Discord. a lot of players have been asking a whole lot of questions in the rules portion and all that on either Discord channel. You guys feel free to ask more questions. Ask as many questions as necessary. I know a lot of the veterans are here and willing to help with any questions or comments or, hey, I need help with this extra team build. Because getting that first team down, that's a mountain in its own right to climb. That's a pretty tough mountain to climb. So that second team can seem, like even more stressful. But if you guys just talk it out, some of the veterans and a lot of the pros will be able to help you through that.
And
for reals, there's a bunch of options.
Yeah, and Michaela is one person that's been in the chat room from Dice Coalition, just helping people out. She helped Corey out pretty well. Helped him make a team. She's pretty good. Ben is willing to play anyone and anywhere, and he tells me I'm awful all the time, but I don't think he'll do that to you. But
not at first.
Not at first, but Ben will help you out. Ben's always in Dice Coalition rooms. I haven't been lately. I'm gonna try to be more soon. Michael Ingledew, really good dude. He's willing to play anyone, and he's a really good dude and knows what he's doing. So
he plays Yu-Gi-Oh style. If you lose, he takes your best card.
I don't think that's the case.
Battle City rules.
Battle City rules. Get out of here.
So speaking of new guys, we had these cards that we wanted to talk about, right? They were going to be cheaper options or alternative options to meta cards, right? That was the idea.
So for those of you who are, you know, kind of newer to the Golden Age or have been playing Modern for, I want to say, the last 11 months. I think it's 11 and a half months since the last Golden Age
Mhm.
event. So for those of you who haven't been really tuning in or who ask, like, where can I get a Constantine Hellblazer? There are cheaper options that we're going to talk about that are commons that Ben has kind of helped us brainstorm and come up with, which we're each going to go through and give a breakdown of why it's useful. And these are kind of cheap options on the wallet, as well as just budget options that give you a better game, counter game, and control game in general.
Yeah, and they might not be alternatives to big cards like that. They just might be some good cards that are cheap or common or uncommon or something like that that you can easily get your hands on.
Yeah. All right.
I think most of these cards are like super, both competitive and kind of good, quick, easy cards to understand how to use effectively.
Yeah.
And from
but
what I'm
also have a lot of
seeing,
depth.
yeah, from what I'm seeing too, for those of you who wonder, who will have questions about where to get these, most of these come from starter packs and box sets and team packs.
And a lot of people, if you're new to a local scene and they actually have a local scene, I got into the scene because Robert, me and him have been friends for like, God,
A long time.
15 to 20, no,
Almost
15
15
years.
years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But he asked me if I wanted to go hang out, and we went and played Dice Masters. And next thing I know, my wife's mad at me because I'm bringing home like a cubic ton of dice and some cards.
Yep.
And that's
It was
not
such a
unique.
relief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it happens. If anybody new shows up at our stores, I'm like, here, dude. Here's a whole set of common and uncommons, at least 2 dice for each card. Come more often.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. Most people will do that for you because we get so much of this product. Yeah, it's blind packs, so you're just getting random things. Most of them are common and uncommon. So,
Yeah. I mean,
and
that's
you can
going to
only have
change
a
now.
max die of 4 on most cards, so they're gonna probably have extra dice lying around too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless it's Yanti, then you only have like the exact amount of Yanti dice that you have for max die. Can't find any extra than that. All right, so let me transition to that. One moment.
One moment, please.
What's the thing? 2 hours later.
All right, we're transitioned over there, everyone.
Sweet.
So the first card, who is taking that one?
Elf Thief is
That's
Ben.
me.
Ben.
Yeah, so this is a really effective card that kind of got, so in the space between golden and modern and this new modern, it kind of got devalued in the previous modern, if that makes sense. But it's still a pretty effective way of both giving you a little bit of boost for energy. So when fielded, Elf Thief field, well, first off, Elf Thief fields for free if you have any energy, which is great. It's got good stats. It's 1/1, 2/2, 3/3 or something like that, which is pretty good. And when you field it, you get to steal any energy or 1 energy that your opponent has in their reserve, which they are likely saving for globals. So it's a really good way to kind of dodge around either force attack, which is really big in Golden, like distraction or pushing your blocker back, or Splinter's teachings or something to mess with your blockers, or even like a magic missile that pings off maybe your mimic or your sidekicks, whatever you don't want. It's just a really useful, easy die to churn. Good stats for attacking, good fielding cost stats, which prevent stuff like imprisoned, which is going to be, I think, big. And yeah, it's just a really fun, easy card to mess around with and play.
And
Yeah.
if you roll it on this double mask or its mask side, you got some PXG fodder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I haven't even mentioned they're super good against PXG either. Yeah, my first 2 picks are kind of the thing that stops PXG, and became really important. We'll get to PXG if you don't know what that is later. But Professor X Global lets you get a bunch of energy, and this is a really good way to cut that kind of at its source.
Yeah. It's so gross, but it's super good. So,
Mhm.
like on first glance of that card, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that good. But then when you see someone play it well, it's like that card. I hate that card.
It's super annoying to play against as well, because even
Yep.
if you, one of the best things to do is if you buy it, your opponent now has to be like, well, they're gonna steal an energy. Do I really want to give them a free energy? No, I'll spend all
Yes.
my energy, and then you're just like, okay, well, I roll it for Mars, use that for PXG, and buy some other stuff, and just have the 2 Mars for PXG.
and,
Yeah, it's brutal.
and you think it's just one energy, but then it's going to wind up being all the energy that you're saving for PXG
Yeah,
on your team
yeah.
turn. All right.
Yep.
So the prevailing combo at the time that this was kind of entering into the modern age / golden age, it was the last Worlds tournament, and we saw on camera several times where Elf Thief was fielded for free, and then the player who had the Elf Thief just kept that 1 energy, and Parallax re-rolled with the opponent's stolen energy until the opponent's was all out of energy in his reserve pool, and it was very nasty.
Okay.
I didn't know about that.
Parallax is garbage. But anyway,
That's awesome.
Says you.
It was just it was ridiculous because it slowed down the player's ramp. It slowed down their options. They couldn't blink the Bard back.
it's really
when they
difficult.
needed
Yeah,
to. And
It's really-
so that's
well-
Elf Thief was an integral piece of the Bard team.
it was a really good piece on a bunch of teams. It was a really good piece on my UK Nats team, which I'm going to talk about on Friday. Yeah.
And by the way,
Um,
we are having a Brewers Corner on Friday just to have just a brief have a discussion about cards that are interesting and teams are interesting for our
Yes.
teams.
So Friday, me, Chris, and Rob both made 2 teams
Mhm.
that Joe's going to kind of critique and tell us
they're
what we should
garbage.
do to change them. Yeah,
All
Yep.
right.
Sure, yeah, I'll critique
something like that.
air
Yeah,
quotes.
yeah.
Okay. All right. And then
I'm going to critique them.
always. So the next card that we're going to talk about is my card. It's Spider-Man War of the Heart.
Yeah.
While Spider-Man is attacking, your opponent must declare at least 1 blocker for each of your attacking sidekick character dice before assigning blockers to your non-sidekick character dice. When Spider-Man attacks, prevent all damage dealt to sidekick character dice until end of turn. This is a super broken card in a flying sidekick or just a Jubilee the modern PXG kind of hate. It's ridiculous. You just field a bunch of sidekicks, put him in the field, and have big attackers, and swing in for unblockable for your big guys, basically.
Yeah, you want to pair him with some other beefy stuff, right? Like I think he's a really good pairing for something like Guy Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
Where you want to be attacking with a bunch of sidekicks. Guy Gardner gets a bunch of buffs. We're going to talk about Guy Gardner later. Or just anything really with good stats. And he himself is well statted.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have something like a Mimic to get ramp going,
Mhm.
this card along with Mimic, Jubilee, and probably
Dum
Dum Dugan. Yeah.
Mhm.
That it could just get really gross really fast, and your opponent, like, first time I played against this card, I just thought, oh, okay, that's not going to be that. I'll be able to be better than that. Then all of a sudden, oh man, they have 32 damage on the board, and I can only block like 8 of it.
Yeah, the most underrated thing about it is the fact that your sidekicks come back anyway.
Yeah,
I know he attacks, so he's at risk of you're
Going
risk of
through.
losing him. Yeah, but
yeah.
your sidekicks are going to stay.
I don't think this is as meta defining as a lot of other cards that we're going to talk about, but I think it's a really fun, interesting card. And
It's a good way to build. If you're interested in building like a cheap weenie team, they're called just like some good statted characters, like a Hush or something like that, or a Batgirl from Batman. They're really good.
Mhm.
If you're interested in just getting those through, then it's a really good character to pair with that kind of team.
So one thing I just wanted to we forgot to mention it earlier. We are not including any of the new product that has been released since the Mighty Thor. So the cards that we're going to go over today for this list, as well as the Brewers Corner that we're going to do on Friday, they're going to be from cards from the set AVX all the way up until the Mighty Thor.
Yeah.
And I
So
just wanted to make sure you guys knew that in case y'all wanted to start asking questions about the newer good cards that are meta defining, because they will redefine the meta as soon as we see the next Golden Age tournament or
Yeah.
event come out.
and it's worldwide meta is worldwide modern is what I'm thinking about. Just going
Yeah. I think that as well. Yeah, it's not out anywhere else apart from in North America.
Yeah. So
Prestige Worldwide.
oh my god. We just thought it was only fair to not allow cards that weren't
Right.
for everyone. So
Yeah,
enough
so
for
sorry
everybody.
about that. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to make sure that in case you guys wanted to ask questions about those specific pieces while we're going over this list, they are good and they are coming. They are going to be available in box products, so you don't have to go singles hunting for them. You know, cracking packs. But these are good alternatives that are already here and they've been here since the Mighty Thor.
I have a match against James and Zach that is out there, and there's another one against DM Armada that he should have it out pretty soon. Steven, just let me know when you're going to put that out so I can link everyone to that, because I think it's a really cool interaction with the new stuff. But that'll be for other videos, probably sooner on our channel, as we can. So I think two of the people on the channel don't have the new stuff, right? Ben doesn't.
Correct.
Yeah, Ben and Joe don't.
I don't have the right dice for Black Panther.
What? How does that work?
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Okay.
I got an extra low key.
Joe, your turn.
Okay. So I've got the Tabashi Rogue or Tabaxi Rogue. Yeah. So while Tabaxi Rogue is active, it's a 3-cost mask. While it's active, when an opponent draws a die, other than during their clear and draw step, Tabaxi Rogue deals them 1 damage. It has a global of pay 2. Once per turn, both players prep a die from their bag. So one of the things that, like I said, the last Golden Age tournament, it's been a while. Several new products come out since then. One of the about 5 or 6 sets. And in each of these sets, there's been other ramp options that are actually better and more budget friendly. So I fully expect to see people running those options. And Tabashi Rogue is a good counter to that. Because he deals damage every time you use Spot with Investigation, every time you use Mimic ramp of some sort. You know, you got PXG, the newer PXG. You then put the Psychic out, you draw the extra die, and if Tabashi Rogue's out in the field, then you're dealing the player the damage. And it also kind of works if you don't have like Resurrection or Villainous Pact. It kind of works as like a pseudo ramp option for you, but the only drawback is that the other player preps a die as well.
Yeah.
Can I? Yeah, just it's also got experience, which it could be a big thing in
So yeah,
Golden.
I did forget to mention that in Golden you'll have the Battle for Faerun and Faerun Under Siege block, which they have this theme where monsters matter and adventures counter monsters. So the most efficient ramp tool for Fist that's out there in Golden, I think, in my opinion, is the Kobold. The Kobold that costs the 1-cost Kobold, 1 Fist cost Kobold. But they have a little caveat that says they have to attack each turn, and an adventurer has to block them. And they don't have really good stats. So if you have this Tabashi Rogue out, you're also getting experience counters, which don't go away. So every time that Tabashi Rogue's out, he gets +1/+1 for each monster that he's defeated.
Does he have to survive?
Although the Kobold triggers on your opponent's turn, which doesn't trigger experience. You only get experience on your turn.
Oh, you can only get. Oh, okay, I gotcha.
But I think so. Yeah, like Joe was saying, Tabaxi Rogue is really good against countering stuff like Investigation, Spot Ramp, which might be prevalent. It's good against stuff like Mimic, which is might be prevalent. But it's also, funnily enough, good against PXG, right? Because one of the things about PXG is you want to have an empty bag and you want to be sending all your sidekicks over on your opponent's turn, right? So they get their priority. You can pay 2 to fill up their bag, prep 1 dice for them, yes, but then they don't have any sidekicks in their use pile to PXG over.
So that could be pretty nasty.
So it might be a good early way to disrupt their kind of bag management, especially if you can work out a way to get around not using their PXG.
Yeah, and to follow up with what you just said, Ben, one of the things that I like about all the sets that have come out lately is that they add new layers to things that were interesting in Golden Age play before previously, and Tabaxi Rogue is one of those new layers where it's like there's different ways to interact with players more so than there was back in the day whenever your options were kind of linear and limited.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob.
Cool. All right, so my card that I have here is going to be Guy Gardner, Blinding Rage. It's a 2-cost Fist Red Lantern. He's a 0.
You're doing Casey Jones. We
Oh, I'm
changed
doing
it.
Casey Jones
first.
Robert.
All right, my bad. Hold on. Okay, so Casey Jones, Mutant Hunter, 2-cost Fist is a 0/2/2/1/3/3/2/4/3. When Casey Jones attacks, you may choose any number of target sidekicks or villain dice to block Casey Jones character dice in any arrangement you choose. So this is just another way to draw attackers or blockers to him and get everything else through. I like it. I like to get things through unblocked. Unblockable is one of my favorite things in the game. So having something like this is pretty awesome. There's a lot of villains out there. People are running villains like crazy. And you're going to take out some of those sidekicks as well, and you're just clearing their board. Not really clearing it, but, moving everything off to the side.
It's a good way to it's kind of like a similar piece of Spider-Man, right? Kind of move all their blockers out of the way, but it also works as kind of anti like Shriek tech, which is going to be coming up. We're going to talk about and like a bunch of other things that are super good in the meta right now.
Yeah, I actually went up against this team or this card in a WKO, and it destroyed because I was running a flying sidekick team with Madam Web, and he just attacked and took out everybody, and I was like, man. And he was using Guy Gardner as well with his stuff. So
the other good thing about him in Golden is we have villain affiliation makers.
Yeah.
We have the ability, so you can sit there, use like an Iron Man, make one of their characters a villain, attack Casey Jones, and just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super gross.
Yes. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a really good card. This is in the second turtle set, I think, or the first one.
First one.
And the first turtle set. Probably one of the better cards in that set.
Yeah.
I think there's a better card in that set.
Well, it's just one of the better cards.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a Foot Ninja.
Yeah, the Foot Ninja, obviously.
We'll talk about it on Friday.
Yeah.
That's probably the best card.
That would actually work pretty well with this, actually.
Yeah.
Because Casey Jones forces all their sidekicks to block, right? Him. But it doesn't necessarily mean you do all his damage split up. You can keep their sidekicks alive, even though you're attacking with this massive Foot Ninja. Because you just do all his damage to a villain, right? All his sidekicks survive, but Foot Ninja, so his Foot Ninja still gets the buff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
It's one of those cards you don't think about is really good until you play it, like Robert said, and then all of a sudden you're like, I hate that card. There's a few cards like that for me. Like, I hate Multiple Man. But, I mean, really, it's not that great of a card, but playing against it and you're not ready for it, it's just terrible.
With that ring team, yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Cool. Swing back around.
Right.
Number 2.
This is kind of a weird one for you, Joe.
Number 2.
For Ben, I'm sorry. This is a weird one.
Why?
It's all of them, isn't it?
Oh, it's all of them. Yeah, we're going to talk about all of them. Okay, cool. Well, specifically, I'm going to talk about the combo with Oracle and Elf Thief. So we're talking about Oracle from the World's Finest starter set. All 3 of them in that starter set are pretty fabulous. They just basically make your opponent's life a bit more expensive, and everything they do a bit more annoying. So the one I like the best is the one that affects globals, makes all globals 1 extra to do. So it was super useful against PXG because it just slowed their ability to PXG down quite a lot. It'll
doing
affect
it twice, they're only doing it once.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you have Elf Thief alongside it, you're making them be able to do it 0 times, even though they save 2 energy.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just that's really annoying. The one that might be interesting, well, there's two that might be interesting now, with stuff like Yanti or Spot, where actions are going to be kind of used quite effectively and often in a turn, increasing the cost of actions. Might be good. So there's one that does that. Just they have to pay one each time they use an action. Or the other one is a 3-cost one. I can't remember what they're called. You have to remind me what the names are.
I'm trying to. It's just such a bad quality picture that I got for this. I can't read it.
It is.
Hang on, I might have that one.
Under
it's the-
surveillance or whatever.
Under surveillance, is that what it's called? It's something like that.
Yeah.
3 cost, and it makes all your opponent's stuff that's 2 cost or more, or less, sorry, cost 1 extra. So, like we've been talking about, the Casey Jones would cost 1 extra, Alfleef would cost them 1 extra, Yanti costs 1 extra, Spot costs 1 extra, Boom Boom costs 1 extra, Sarina costs 1 extra.
And all those 1-cost actions that the Yanti team uses to have
And it
lethal.
also affects actions, right? So even stuff outside of that, like misdirection might be 1 extra, bat signals 1 extra, cobalt traps 1 extra,
Yeah.
multiple mans 1 extra, and just pushing that that limit on the characters just by 1 cost is really annoying, especially if you're trying to use them quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here's the caveat: they're the bodies and the fielding costs. Like it's amazing. It's 013, 014, and 025.
Yeah, she has got a big butt, and we like a girl with a
We cannot lie.
big booty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So I think Oracle has a really good spot in Golden, and when she was modern, had a really good spot in the meta just for anti meta teams. So
Yeah, I mean, she would be a really effective kind of control team if you just put her on her team and by herself, all 3 versions of her. So
yeah.
if you buy this starter and use any of them, they're super effective. You don't need any more than 2, which is what you get in the starter. So yeah, I don't know. It's really good. If you want to find out more about how she works in tandem with Elf Thief, tune in on Friday.
Y'all.
So that was basically all my Nats team was.
So, all right. Next one. Scarlet Witch. Careful what you wish for. So, while I think everyone knows this card, but I think it's one of the best cards in the game for control, especially with where we're at in the meta. So, while Scarlet Witch is active during your opponent's roll and reroll step, your opponent must reroll any action die that land on an action phase and cannot reroll any action dice on the energy phase. So before, when Parallax was a thing, every team, if they had action on the team, had to include Parallax to make sure they could get what they needed. So they would go further down the Parallax hole and more of a chance for you to actually have them not have what they need. So this is a crazy good card. And in the modern, there's only a Sararak that really counters it, and it's not even that much of a counter.
I really like her as well because first off, she's dual affiliation, which is useful
for team up.
But also she has a really good stats on level 2 and 3.
Yeah.
She can be quite aggressive as well. Like that 5 attack is pretty useful. It'll be interesting to see how well she does because there are a bunch of actions in Golden that are strong.
And she's a bolt, and bolts are really
Bolts are also useful. Yeah, she really fits in well with a bunch of teams. I want to mention quickly the common Constantine, which does a similar job to this. So if you have a bunch of the old stuff, you can look if you maybe have the common Constantine rather than trying to get this card. But I like her better because she makes you do all the actions, whereas Constantine only makes you do 1 action.
Constantine's 1 cheaper, right? He's a 2-cost shield.
Yeah. And Constantine can also target die that are in the field, so it can target continuous dice and make them reroll the continuous dice.
Nice.
Oh, that's super annoying.
It is annoying, but I think the Scarlet Witch in general is better and covers more
everything.
Yeah.
I'm with Ben on this. If you don't have Scarlet Witch and you have some of the older Justice League stuff, you have that common Constantine. You can just use him. He's a pretty good option. But yeah, Scarlet Witch, it's hard to get around, dual affiliation, and just a really good stat line.
Mhm.
All right. So next
Oh,
one.
show.
Next one is Wonder Woman, and she comes out of the Superman Wonder Woman. This is the ones that we were wanting to talk about are the three that come out of the Superman Wonder Woman set.
Mhm.
Specifically, people have been talking about the 5-cost mask while she's active when fielded and when attacks abilities are ignored. Golden Age has a lot of those as win conditions. For example, Guy Gardner, Bard, and even the Beholder, which we will be talking about. Spoilers can be pretty much technically blanked by
And
her
Lantern
just being
Ring.
on the field. And the Lantern Ring, yes, I forgot about that. That's
Mhm.
a big one. And so all of these things, including when fielded abilities, such as Shriek, such as Dwarf Wizard, stuff, and even the blobs that capture and all that stuff like that is going to be blanked when coming up against this Wonder Woman. But I did want to also touch on the other ones. So
Yep.
the other two are Wonder Woman, Child of Clay. While she's a 4-cost mask, while she's active, global abilities activated by your opponent cannot target character dice you control. So if you're running an aggro deck, you want to make sure that big beefy Guy Gardner or Dum Dum Dugan gets through and doesn't get blinked. Then you can run her on the team, and then also there's the lesser known one, but still pretty good. While Wonder Woman is active, players cannot use the global abilities on character cards on their teams. On their team.
Yeah, I really like the look of this one. When it first got kind of spoiled, everyone was like, "This kills Professor X Global," and it does really well. The difficulty for me is I really like globals. They're probably my favorite part of the game. So putting
if
her
you're
on
gonna
the team
run-
is really difficult because it affects you as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you're gonna run, so like how I'd run her is if I was running like spot investigation ramp.
Yeah, exactly.
If I
You
was
have to have
running the kind
motion.
of manual ramp that you don't rely on globals for.
Yeah. So
And
you have to kind of
so
build around her a little bit, which makes. I mean, I think that's a good card to kind of build around for newer people as well, because it kind of limits down your choices as well in a way.
Yeah, and if you're a newer player, you probably don't like playing with globals anyway. So this
Yeah.
is probably a good way to
it
go.
is a good option. And there's also, so I did want to mention that there's the Wonder Woman from World's Finest that saw a little bit of Golden Age play just before we had the division of the two formats. And one of them was actually, at the time, it was really popular. I believe it was Protector. While Wonder Woman is active, opposing when fielded effects deal no damage to you or your character dice. That was a big deal because you had stuff like Gavi and you had stuff like Torch, I believe, that every time somebody would be able to just recycle their Elf Thief and refilled it, you were getting pinged. So Wonder Woman was a big deal, having her on your team. So they're all good. The Wonder Woman from World's Finest, all the rarities, look those up, do a little bit of homework, as well as the ones from the Superman Wonder Woman starter pack.
Yeah, one of them's got good stats as well.
Yeah. Run on
Okay,
the right team, she's good. So, all right.
talk about another DC character.
Another DC. Can I talk about Guy Gardner?
Can
Can we address this guy?
Yeah, go ahead.
This
Alright,
guy.
so Guy Gardner, Blinding Rage, two cost fist. He is a 0/2/2, 0/3/2, 1/4/4. Guy Gardner must attack each turn if able, and gets +1 for each other attacking die. So this is just a cheap aggro piece. The dude gets huge, depending on how many dice you have in the field. I mean, that's it. The dude's just beefy. He's beefy. He's cheap to field. He's cheap to buy. He gets huge, and he is super annoying. And you can get this out of the War of Light starter set.
Yeah, he's a really good die for new players to play with, especially because you don't have a choice. You have to attack.
Yep.
So you will learn how to attack if you play him. He's a really useful learning tool, as well as just being like a huge meta piece and a huge kind of annoyance to a lot of players.
Oh my god. He's an annoyance to a King Black Bolt team for sure. I know that.
But top level 4/4, and then on top of that you get a bunch of like stats on top of him. I mean, even if you attack with sidekicks, right? You can easily attack with 2 or 3 sidekicks a turn. You make him a 7 attack, 7/4. He's not going to get knocked out by anything you can get out on turn 3.
You can combo him with the Pim Particle. I think that's another common action as a 2-cost. He's a fist. You can give a fist character Overcrush and +1. So you can get your Guard Gardeners huge and give them Overcrush if they want to try to chump block them. Yeah.
So
it's awesome.
It's crazy. Crazy annoying.
Yep. It's a good card. It's a cool die too. It's translucent.
Yeah, if you guys don't have this one, I would suggest getting it. It's like Ben said, it's a good learning tool. If you haven't learned how to attack, it definitely helps out, and it's easy to learn how to wall up against an attacker if you play against this card too. So, all right.
Yep.
Next one.
Gonna talk about the best win condition on not any of our lists.
What?
My card.
Oh, okay.
This is like a super meta win con that's gonna wreck some people.
Oh my god.
This thing gave people nightmares, legit though.
So yeah,
everybody talked about this combo.
Beholder Master Aberration. Basically, it's 7 costs, which is probably the most expensive card we have on this list, and you're gonna need to work to get it quickly. That's kind of all this team is. You have this card, you have a bunch of utility pieces, a bunch of ramp to get to this one die, and then you have a bunch of sidekicks in the field, attack with him, trigger all the basic actions. And so with your 2 and your opponent's 2 basic actions, which can be super brutal, especially when you put something like Imprisoned, which basically is like a board clear, so you clear your opponent's field, and then Frontline, where all your characters are going to do another 3 damage on top of what they do. And if he's like a 7 attack, something like that, 6 attack, 6 attack.
He's a 6 attack.
So top, I think 2nd and 3rd level, he's 6 attack.
All of them are really good because you have 043, 054, and 165. That's
so he's
the most
doing
amazing stat line.
So he's doing 7, 8, or 9 attack by himself, and then you add into that sidekick +1. Yeah, very first D&D set in the starter.
In the starter, they had 4 versions of this bad boy.
Jeez,
that's so
gross. Is huge and ridiculous, and you can do a bunch of fun stuff with him. There's a bunch of ways to meta play him. So if you think your opponent's going to bring Beholders, you can run something like End of Days, which KOs a bunch of their stuff and your stuff. So you can play around that by changing up your actions a little bit instead of running Imprisoned. Frontline, you can run something like 1 Against Many, where you do a bunch of damage for each character they have in the field. And you choose the order they have, you do the actions in, right? So you can do stuff like Invulnerability. So you can do 1 Against Many, do damage for all their characters, use End of Days, KO all your stuff, use Invulnerability, all your stuff gets put back in the field because any of your stuff is KO'd in your attack step, come back to the field. And it's super fun. You can mess around with it quite a lot. It's really a good way to trigger actions.
It almost seems like a complete sellout to just like go like have this on your team, but it's a good sellout.
It is. You have to definitely work for it, which is which is why I like it, right? Like it's not.
I think that's how a win condition should be. You should have to work to get there, and not just be something super cheap and just like a
spammy card.
It's a really kind of big, showy, dazzly card. Like, ooh, look what I did! I just smacked you in the face, son.
Yeah. And this card itself is a cheaper version of the Ultraman Super Rare, right? From World's Finest. Or not cheaper, but an easily
more accessible. Yeah. And it does it by itself, right? Instead
there's no condition. If this, then this. So that's what's
probably better.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Man.
Good stuff.
That's
people only started using Ultraman once Beholder was rotated out.
Oh, okay.
Seems like a terrible card.
I know there's going to be at least one in the 2-team takedown tournament, so you want to look at.
Is it because you're bringing it?
I am not. I wish I was.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm not bringing anything good.
Why do you do that in the 2-team takedown tournaments? You
Because
never
I don't
know.
have anything good with me. I don't have Bard, I don't have Ring, I don't have Beholder, I don't have Yanti with me.
No.
If you're
I don't wanna
closer,
run
I
that
would
garbage.
let you borrow anything you wanted.
Nah, I don't want to run that garbage.
Oh my god. Okay. So next garbage card in Ben's opinion.
Nah, this card's good. I like this card.
Okay, so this is Professor Xavier. This is one of the cards recruiting young mutants. The other one is the rare. What's that one called?
Trainer.
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 Yeah.
Okay. So you're not. I mean, this one says when fielded, search your bag for up to 2 sidekick dice and roll them. Okay, that's cool. But
Yeah, exactly.
the action or the global one is much better. Pay a mask, move up to 2 sidekick dice from your use pile to your prep area. A lot of the Golden Age and the previous meta was based around how well you played PXG Global and how well your opponent played against you with it, because it really defined the games going forward. You never, Ben, you never bought the actual die, right?
No, not unless I was having fun. Like, it's not it's an alright. It's a fun card to field.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want a 3 fielding cost when fielded character, so don't buy it. But it's got a big
Unless you're running
defense.
like Kal-El Global or something like that.
Yeah, it's got a
Oh,
big defense. It's cool. But yeah, no, I mean, 2 of my picks, right? Elf Thief and Oracle probably wouldn't be on this list if PXG didn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they would, but PXG
I'm not gonna.
was
It didn't really define the
PXG
meta,
was
but it.
it was the meta defining card because
kind of was. I don't
Uncanny
know.
X-Men came out, I think just under a year after AVX, and in that time, people didn't know how to ramp. People, would just like run
This just broke
awkward ramp packages.
it. Yeah. This
And
just kind of broke it.
it's a weird way of, if you just started and you haven't played PXG before, it's something you should ask someone on the Discord or on Facebook to teach you how to run, because it's super funky. It's very different from what we have now. It's also a lot more effective in a lot of ways, especially early game. It's very, very strong, and it's probably one of the reasons that modern games go so fast. It lets you get your stuff out super quick. You get everything you buy the next turn.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at with PXG, if you're going first, you're looking at rolling 6 dice your second turn if you do it correctly. That's how broken this card is.
Yep.
That's how broken the global is.
And expensive cards are not really that big of a deal because of PXG.
Yeah, so the other thing, Joe's right, you can get 6 or 7 dice on your turn 2, but then it's also important, not to spend all those on a big dude. And buying 6 or 7 costs is a lot harder in modern because you want to maintain. It's very much about maintaining your ramp. If you mess up your ramp cycle, and you have to start digging through your bag, PXG gets messed up, and it becomes a lot harder for you to keep up with your opponent, because your opponent probably is not buying those big characters. So if you're running this, practice with it. Work out your buy order.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would really suggest just doing that, because Professor X, the reason why I say it's the meta defining card, and DM Armada went over this in his Hall of Fame series, which you guys should take a look at in order to get a better understanding of how potent and powerful Golden Age cards really are. Professor X was one of the ones that he went over. And it's one of the few cards that lets you ramp as well as filter your bag in the same global, and not having to expend more than one resource doing that.
Yeah, it's ramp and churn at the same time at global speed.
And if done correctly, you don't ever have to touch your bag.
Yes, yeah, you'll see a lot of kind of
Patrick Barley just putting his
old
bag to
school
the
players. Yeah, just like that will happen.
side.
And when they do that, just talk garbage to them.
Especially
Get in
Patrick.
their head. You
Yeah,
gotta
especially
do
Patrick.
something.
By the way, Patrick is playing right now, so he probably can't hear us. But
I know the jerk target locks garbage.
All right. So
Next one?
card, y'all.
So next one we went over, and I'll just go over this a little bit briefly before, but everybody should know it. It's Shriek. And the
That's
one
what you need
people,
to say, really?
yeah, the one people know the most is Sonic Beam. So Dwarf Wizard, at the time that it was released in Faerun Under Siege, was one of the premier, I want to say, control cards next to Constantine that was put on any golden team that warranted a slot for it. So if you were having trouble with the Green Goliath or anything like that, you would put Dwarf Wizard on your team. Shriek kind of works in the same instance, in the same way. So she's a 3-cost bolt. When fielded, choose an opposing character card, replacing all previous choices. While Shriek is active, ignore that card's text, including globals. So
Yes.
she's got a really good stat line as far as cheap fielding cost.
She's
And it
bolts
runs, yeah, and she's bolt too.
and
So
villain.
I've actually, and villain, I've actually seen
Sorry.
a lot of teams running like Dwarf Wizard and Shriek in
Yeah.
various combinations.
Yeah, and Cold Gun and Kryptonite Blankers could be. I would be interested in this. I would be interested to see someone running a bunch of blanker cards.
Well, so I mean, with the
It'd be fun.
villain team, it's very possible to do. She was one of the key pieces on the villain team that saw a lot of modern play here recently in the WKO events.
Mm-hmm.
Because along with the rare blob, were just they were a good 1-2 punch.
I imagine most people will have this somewhere on their 20 cards. This will be one of the 20 cards for most people.
And
For
possibly a prismatic spray or her other card.
Yes, so I think we should probably mention just a
The
shout
other
out
Shriek.
to Empathy, because it's a good way to disrupt PXG as well.
Yeah.
So the other one, let me just go over that one real quick. Shriek Dark Empathy. She's a 4-cost. When fielded, ignore all text on opposing character cards, including global abilities, until end of turn. So that's exactly what Prismatic Spray, the 4-cost Prismatic Spray, did back in the old days for the Golden format. But you have this tacked onto a character instead of an action. So she gets to stick around and swing on the same turn that you field her and blink everybody else, preventing globals from going off. I did see this in a couple of lists in WKOs. It was in a lot of top 4 lists even, and that's really saying something. And
It'd be
then
fun
also
with the Blue Eyes White Dragon as well, global.
What's that?
It'd be fun with a Blue Eyes White Dragon global.
Yeah, because you can recycle it. You send it to the send it to the prep area. So the other thing is Sandra Deal. She's a 3-cost. She says that whenever Shriek attacks, players may not activate global abilities. Again, this is one of those deals where if you have an aggro team, you want to make sure that your opponents can't respond to anything that you're doing during the attack step. You put her on the team.
Yeah, I think I had her on my 2-team takedown team the first time because I was using unblockable Yanti, and I just didn't want him to push it back.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. So yeah, again, this is available in the Spider-Man starter set, just like the Spider-Man.
Maximum Carnage.
So Maximum Carnage, sorry. Just like the Spider-Man War of Heart we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you bought that that team pack, you'd have a couple of cards. I mean,
yeah.
And these are, so in my book, these are functional alternatives to stuff like Dwarf Wizard, if you don't have that, and Prismatic Spray.
Yeah.
All right. And the last and someone's favorite card, and I hate this card.
This is going to be big. Yep.
Oh, it's not Vixen. It's Green Devil Mask, 4-cost mask. It's a trap card, and you trigger it when your opponent has 4 or more active character dice in the field. Your opponent must reroll all their active character dice, move any that roll on energy faces to their used pile. That is amazing. So if you're like me and you want to screw with your opponent, you're going to run that White Tiger global in this Golden Age thing and force them to fill up and make them reroll everything. I just like that idea. It seems kind of douchey, but I mean, it's a very good control piece. unless people like to pop the trap on purpose, and then you're kind of like, oh, wait,
Well, I
maybe
think
should do
if
that.
you're running if you're running what's that
White
guy
Tiger.
called? White Tiger.
White Tiger.
Yeah, you're gonna
Tiger
have
Amber.
to. You're just gonna trigger it. I don't. You can't.
Yep.
You
Can't
should
not.
be the one choosing when to trigger it, not let your opponent
Yep.
pick it.
Yeah,
I think so. I don't.
true that.
This is gonna hurt a lot of teams in Golden. It really hurts Lantern Ring teams.
Yep.
It really hurts Bard teams. It really hurts Beholder teams.
It hurts Chris every single time he plays Robert.
It's super good, and there's like I think Joe, you were saying off air. There's so many ways to get this full cost. So it's a bit expensive with 4, but I mean you can buy it.
I mean,
For
with PXG,
3,
So we were talking about the many ways to do this, and so you can naturally just go into it with the PXG Global. You know, you just
and it's a mask.
save.
So
Yeah, and then the other ways to do it, where you had the Red Dragon Global, which
Yep.
there was every single version of Red Dragon, with the exception of the uncommon, came in the starter set for Battle for Faerun. So you have access to that global and the Beholder by just going out and getting that starter pack.
and you do your opponent 1 damage.
And you deal your opponent 1 damage.
I
And then
love
there's
that
also
global.
1000 Dragon Global, the super rare 1000 Dragon from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series 1 set. It's hard to find, but it's not that expensive. It's still running about $8 to $9, just if you guys want to look for it.
So, true story. I bought that super rare online, and they sent me the wrong die, and I was very upset.
Oh man, Red Dragon wasn't part of the common was. I remember one of the versions of Red Dragon being part of the starter set. I may be mistaken,
Maybe that's the second.
but
one.
maybe I may be mistaken on that. But still, it's super easy to get them out. I'm sorry, Ben, to cut you off there.
But yeah, Green Devil Mask. That one's really good. Isn't the common one good also, Chris?
The common's funny.
this is the common one.
No,
the uncommon one,
uncommon.
sorry.
The uncommon one.
Oh.
I played against someone, and I had Tabaxi Rogue, and so they tripped. I tripped the trap, and they actually had 2 of them out. And how much damage did I do? 8 or so damage to them.
It was a lot of damage, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
And then
That was
Dropping
awesome.
3 dice from your bag hurts them. That's nice.
yeah, so I was playing against the person. I was like, I better buy Tabaxi Rogue because they're just gonna be tripping that all the time. Like, you tripping dog.
Tripping the traps.
Tripping. Oh my god.
But it's I'm out of all the cards on the list, I'm most excited to see this do well because I think it would mess up people real bad.
Yeah, and it's good because it just sits there. You buy it
Yep.
once, and it just sits there.
Yeah, you buy it early. If you don't need it right away, you use it for masks for PXG.
Mm-hmm.
And it forces them to only have 3 in the field and figure out ways
And
to
it
play
forces
around
them, yeah, exactly. It forces them to mess themselves up.
So
Which-
the options previous to Green Devil Mask for re-rolling characters were in the form of Storm from AVX.
Yeah,
And
Which is a starter.
this-
If you can
yeah,
find it.
and so but the good thing about Green Devil Mask is you just roll it once, you leave it on the field. And it's up to their opponent whether or not they want to risk that instead of having you spend the energy fielding and maybe you roll Storm, maybe you don't. And
Mhm.
Storm, depending on which version, she can get 2 characters, 1 character, or all of the characters. But it's just Green Devil Mask does all those things for cheaper too, since you have the mini globals. And we forgot about Malekith, the super rare Malekith.
yeah. Well, there's just Blue Eyes
makes
White
that
Dragon as
cheaper.
well.
Yeah.
The other thing, if you have multiples of Green Devil Mask out in the field and they field a 4th, they have to roll and re-roll it if it comes up on character face.
Yes. Yeah.
Which Troy Miller did that in one of the previous in his big tournament, the Faux Nats.
Oh yeah.
That was nutty, but it was really ridiculous and funny. So,
So yeah, I hope these lists were kind of a good jumping off point for some people who are new. That this list is super good. You could take 8 of these cards and make a pretty good team.
yeah.
Yep.
We didn't even get
Yeah,
into
it's funny
basic
that
actions.
you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, you could. This would be a pretty good team by itself if you took away If you just took 8 of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was Guy Gardner super aggressive?
Yes, with the Spider-Man, that's super good. Then you just have a bunch of control. You have Green Devil Mask, so you don't have that many blockers.
Let's not give people ideas. Oh my god, that's terrible. That would be so gross.
Well, no, that's the point. I mean, the point is to give them
It was
better,
a joke,
cheaper
Joe. It was
alternatives.
a joke.
So we hope you guys learned, and also, like I said before, visit
bad.
DM Armada's channel. He's got the breakdown of the meta-defining cards that were specific to the Golden Age meta a year or two ago. So give those a peek, because that kind of gives you an idea of what we're working with on the Golden Age side. Also, pay attention to the Super Rare Yanti team lists that were done in the last 2 WKO events in June, and there was one in May, I believe.
Yeah.
Take a look at those lists and kind of see what you're going to be up against. If people have super rare Yantis, we were talking about this yesterday. If people have super rare Yantis, there's a good chance they're going to be running them or a variant of that in
Well,
this
don't pay
Golden
attention
Age.
to those cards and don't run. Don't be a jerk.
Oh, come on! You're making me
Ryan,
feel bad.
Real talk though, I feel like it's a good card, but there is stuff to mess with it. PXG ramp can be messed with.
Yeah.
And if you can disrupt them early, then that could be a thing that does good for you.
So Ryan, the deadline is the 30th, and it's going to be midnight. So midnight would be So
It's
the
next
deadline
week.
is the 30th to 31st. It's next Wednesday, midnight.
And I want to say this right now because I don't want people to think it's going to be like the last 2 team takedown tournament where we allow you to change cards. There's going to be no
Yeah.
changing cards after it
Make
starts.
sure you have your stuff correct.
Yes, you got to have your stuff correct. I am going to be pushing that largely
Yeah.
Yep.
too.
The only
I'm going to
reason
make
we
sure.
did...
Go ahead. Sorry.
The only reason we did that
Uh,
last time is because it was such a new format and people weren't really ready for it, and now everyone knows it and you can see stuff about it. So that's why we're doing that.
But that shouldn't scare off people who are just willing to put in fun teams. Like I said, I don't have virtually any of the pieces that are going to be the big meta teams. I'm running some teams that I like playing, that are fun, kind of like secondary to the best cards. So you shouldn't be scared about running like. If this is your first tournament, I think this is going to be a really good tournament for you to have as your first tournament online.
Yeah. This
It'll
is a
be really
good
interesting. Yeah.
So one thing I will say about revising your team list and stuff, during this time until the deadline hits, you can message me if you've already turned in your list and there's something you want to go back and change. You can message me on the Discord. I'm Tabasco Rogue on both Discord, the CR Game Room Discord, as well as the Dice Masters Unlimited or online Discord. And you can just hit up CR Game Room on Facebook as well.
And we also have a Twitter.
Yeah, we also have a Twitter. So just at Tabasco Rogue on any of those, and I'll know who you're talking to. I'll know what you guys are talking about, and I'll get with you privately, and we'll go over the list revisions, and I'll make the changes. Just make sure you keep with those dice counts, and everything's correct.
Cool. I think we can wrap it up there.
Yeah. Robert.
Cool. Calling it a night. All right, guys and gals, this is going to do it for us here at. Is it the game room now? Is that what we're calling it, or is it Chris and Rob game room still?
CR Game Room.
CRGR.
Yeah.
Sure.
CR
Sugar.
Game Room. All right.
A little bit of sugar in that coffee.
Oh
Wow.
God. Okay, instantly changed after that.
All right. Now that's going to do it for us here at CR Game Room. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter and join our conversations on Discord. The links to each are in the description below. Also, last but not least, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.